Well, I'm really excited to be here today with the Health Ranger, Mike Adams, my good buddy at the Natural News Forensic Food Lab. And Mike, we're going to talk about several things today, one of which is water and the importance of water. And you're going to show some interesting things with this IC machine. I'm not even going to try to say what it stands for. It's what is
Ion chromatography.
Ion chromatography machine. And we're going to talk about how you can discover pollutants in the water and other things that shouldn't be there. And then after we do this, I want you to describe this machine that you've been testing. That's a water filtration machine that you've been getting some good results with. So
absolutely.
You game for that today, Ray?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's take a look at the ion chromatography.
Okay.
That allows us to look at fluorides, chlorides, and other
halogens.
Halogens.
Okay.
Molecular compounds containing halogens that can be measured through electrical conductivity. That's what this instrument does right here. And so this is a form of chromatography. We end up with a spectra. As you can see here, this is a spectrographic chart that shows you, let me make that larger. This chart shows you peaks over time. The x-axis is time.
Okay. And
this here is labeled fluoride. You can see that's 10 parts per million. Guess what this sample is?
Public water supply somewhere?
Snapple tea.
Snapple tea.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. We just bought Snapple off the shelf because I knew there's fluoride in it. So then we have chlorides here also at 10 parts per million. And we can detect iodides as well. They would come out usually at about like 17.5 minutes. That depends on the column. Now a column is actually, you can think of it as a special retention time filtration element. So you see a lot of plumbing and a lot of tubing in here. This column is the #1 thing that you're trying to get your unknown sample to go through this column. And it contains specific chemistry that causes different chemicals to be retained for different amounts of time. In other words, it separates the chemicals over time, allowing each one to come out at a different time. So we'll get fluoride coming out first, and then we can measure the fluoride. We'll get chlorides coming out next, we can measure the chlorides, and so on. It's called separations, chromatography separations. This column is what does that. The detector is here, and the detector is really a resistance detector. It's measuring the resistance or the conductivity of the liquid that we're putting through it. And we have to use acids, for example, this acid, to help suppress the resistance because the detector is so sensitive that conductivity is 1,000 times too high, and you have to, after it comes out of the column, you have to suppress it chemically using this suppression chamber that's recharged with acids in order to get it down to the level where the detector has its sensitivity range. So there's a lot of chemistry going on here. Actually take the sample. Okay. That's what happens. There's a peristaltic pump on the right-hand side with another inline filter there to filter out the particulate matter. It takes up the sample, pushes it through the plumbing, and starts the chemistry. And goes through the column, starts the retention time, the conductivity suppression, all of those steps, and that's how you end up with your spectra on the screen. Okay. So as we start getting water samples from across America, maybe across the world one day, we'll be looking at fluoride using this instrument.
Got it.
There's no dose control.
Right.
You don't know how much a child is drinking from other sources. Right. You don't know if that child is, already in overload, and now you're adding more, and then they're going to get fluorosis. Black teeth, discoloration of teeth, bone problems. Cancer even. Sure. So fluoride in the public water supply is a public health disaster, and it violates every tenet of medicine.
Well, isn't it illegal in most countries to mass medicate folks without their approval?
Well, it's supposed to be illegal even in America. Yeah. They're supposed to have a prescription, a diagnosis by a physician, right, and then to be prescribed something. But fluoride is just, it's a biologically active chemical, like a drug, that is being given to everybody with no diagnosis whatsoever. It violates every tenet of modern medicine.
Wow, Mike, really great information here. It's a fascinating machine.
Yeah, it is.
Right? You're able to pick up all kinds of pollutants in the water.
Oh, yeah.
Which you have,
Yes.
you have been.
Yep.
But we don't want water that's polluted. We want water that's clean, right?
Definitely.
And so I want to hear what you have to say about the tests that you've been doing on a certain water filter and the results that you've been getting.
All right, let's take a look. It's over
Sure.
here. So this is the AquaTrue water filter system.
Okay.
And it's extraordinary. It's one of the most innovative filters I've ever seen. It uses a built-in water recycling reverse osmosis system.
Okay.
I didn't invent it, by the way. I know the person who did, and he's an extraordinary inventor. This combined with an ion exchange resin filter, I've tested it in this lab. It removes everything that I can detect down to zero. Fluoride,
wow, everything.
arsenic, lead, cadmium, different chemicals, everything down to zero. And it's fast. You don't have to wait for it like with a gravity filter. You know, you have to wait hours.
Drip, drip,
Yeah.
drip.
This has a small pump in it, uses very little electricity, and it generates, it purifies the water so rapidly that you don't have to wait around for it. And then you can, once it's done, you can take this and you can put it in your refrigerator and you can have your cool
Chill
water
it.
in your fridge.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah, you plug it back in, you put your unfiltered water back here,
Okay.
you hit go, a few minutes later, you're done.
Wow, it actually looks cool too.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
a cool looking. Now,
Yeah.
you said it takes all of the contaminants out to zero. How does
zero.
it do it?
Well,
what kind of a filtration system does it have in
if
here?
you look inside this panel, you'll see that it contains several different filtration modules
Okay.
that are in series. So this first one is an ion exchange, but it has other modules here, reverse osmosis, and this is called the VOC and carbon. VOC stands for volatile organic chemicals. So because of the media that's used in these modules, that the water is forced through under pressure, the chemistry interacts. You know, just like on the ion chromatograph that I showed you over there, you know how that retention column retains certain chemicals for a certain period of time? Mm-hmm. This does the same thing, except it never lets them go. It retains them forever. So those chemicals stay in the media and only the pure water comes out.
I see. So, how many gallons do you have any idea would filter through here before you'd have to change the filter?
I'd have to check the specs, but because it's a very large amount of media in here, they're going to last a very long amount of time.
Yeah, it's a big filter.
The thing is also, it depends on the cleanliness of your source water. If you're feeding it cleaner water, you're going to get a lot more life out of these filters.
Right.
What's interesting is you can actually take a total dissolved solids little tool that you can buy, you know, for $10 online or at a garden store or whatever, and you can test the resulting water and you can make sure it stays zero. If that number ever starts to creep up, that means your filters need to be changed at that point.
I see. Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, it depends upon the source water.
It does.
Right? Because there was I can't remember the brand that we bought years ago, and they said it could filter pond water. Well, yeah, but the filters wouldn't last too long if you're putting pond water through there. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But in light of the fact that you are beginning to test municipal water supply samples from all over the United States,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think we're going to find out that almost everyone in the United States that's drinking municipal water supply better have some kind of filter.
Absolutely.
Right.
Since the time that I first did the contaminant removal research on this unit, which was over a year ago, I was part of the R&D phase of this invention. And I have a toxic brew that I mixed up of all kinds of toxic elements, water. And I have another unit that I use for that. I poured in the toxic brew. I measured the specific concentrations of that toxic brew using the ICP-MS instrument.
Right.
And then I measured the removal, the results at the end of that. And that's where I was blown away because it was zero.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when you put the toxic brew in there.
I put in the most toxic stuff you could imagine. Like that filter, no one should ever use it ever because it's contaminated forever. But it showed me that even if you try to push toxic elements through this system,
wow,
it captures them. It blocks them. So I am absolutely convinced from a scientific methodology point of view, through fluoride removal, through lead removal, that this instrument right here, filter, could have saved the children of Flint, Michigan. If the families in Flint had had this unit, we could have stopped the mass lead poisoning of those children. This removes 100% of the lead.
That's really amazing, and it's very affordable for a unit like this. I mean, I've seen units that say they do similar, priced way more than what this one's priced at.
Well, yeah, and also if you look at, I also tested a lot of these other sort of cheaper units that you can buy at Walmart or Target or wherever, and they produce water quickly. You pour it in the top, and it's like a countertop filter, just gravity, but they don't remove very much. It's almost a hoax. Those units, they can remove chlorine, because they have a carbon block in them.
Right.
But aside from chlorine and maybe some bromines and things like that, they're really not removing like they wouldn't take the lead out. You can see that, on my website, waterfilterlabs.com. I've shown all the results there. And we're going to be adding to that website too with more fluoride testing. So those cheap filters don't work very well. As far as filters that work, this is the fastest. This is the most affordable unit in the high-end range that really, really gets everything out of your water, or almost everything. When I say 100%, there might be a few atoms that still come through, like parts per trillion or something.
Sure.
So it's not exactly 100%, but it's 99.99 whatever, depends on the element.
Right.
We can call it 100%.
So in light of the fact that our bodies are 70, 80% water, our blood's 90+% water, I mean, this is something that we've got to be able to take control over what we've been given control over, right? Robert Scott Bell, our good buddy, he says there's certain things that you can't control.
Yeah.
One of the things that we can control is the food that we eat and the water that we drink, right? This is one of the things that we do have control over.
That's right.
And so one of the best ways to detoxify is never get toxic to begin with, right?
That's exactly right.
Don't take in the toxins to begin with.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that heavy metals like lead, they mimic minerals that your body wants, such as calcium. Lead and calcium have a kind of affinity for each other, and they will mimic similar biochemical pathways in your body. That's why if you take in lead through water, that lead ends up in your bones because your body thought it was calcium, and you have lead bones. Well, lead is soft, right? It's a soft metal. Bones are supposed to be rigid, right?
Yeah.
If you have lead in your bones, you have soft bones, bones are going to break.
Brittle.
And guess what? When they break, they release lead. So you not only do you break your bones, and then you poison yourself from the inside because your skeletal system's full of toxic metals. That's what's happening to the children in Flint, Michigan, and other cities across America. And believe it or not, Ty, the government bureaucrats knew about that, and they withheld that information on purpose.
I'm not surprised.
It's a crime.
I wish that every family out there had one of these.
Every family needs something like this. I would not drink tap water anywhere in the world. America, not even Germany, any first world nation, I do not trust the pipes. Think about it. The pipes, the water pipes that deliver the water.
Yeah.
You know what happened in Flint, Michigan? Well, the pipes had been used for a very long time. They had been using a water source in the pipes that was more alkaline for many, many decades. Then they changed the water source. The new water source was slightly more acidic.
Okay.
Acid corrodes the metal of the pipes. All of a sudden, it was eating off the lead in the pipes and putting that into solution in the water that was being delivered to the homes and consumed by the children.
Wow.
So just by changing the pH of the water, you can poison an entire population. That's what they did in Michigan.
That's what they did.
Yeah, because they don't understand chemistry, and even when they were alerted to it, they covered it up. If they had asked me, will you test this water, to help the citizens of Flint, Michigan, I would have said, sure, absolutely.
Right.
And I would have warned them. I would have said, yeah, guess what? There's lead in that water. It's not safe.
You wonder how much they actually knew ahead of time.
We know they knew ahead of time.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody needs to have something like the AquaTrue. This can provide clean, filtered water for an entire family because it works so quickly. Just in a few minutes, you have the water completely filtered.
Yeah.
It is scientifically validated by other labs in addition to mine. Everybody knows I'm the health ranger. I'm an independent whistleblower. I'm known for blowing the whistle.
Yeah.
If it wasn't 100% of what I say it is, I wouldn't I wouldn't speak up for something if I didn't test it myself.
Yeah. No, if it's Health Ranger recommended, it's got to be good.
Yeah, it's got to be good. Yeah. And the reason I have this here is because we're going to use this in this lab for our drinking water. And that's interesting. You know why? Because we have like a $10,000 water purifier for the lab over there that makes 18.2 mega ohm high purity lab water for analytical use. And I'm not even going to use that water. I'm going to use this instead.
If that's not impressive, then nothing is.
Yeah. You know, I mean, to me, this is the best, most convenient unit. This is what we're going to use here in the lab for all the personnel to drink our water.
That's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks for sharing about water.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Go out and get me one of these too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love it.